Good morning, everybody. It's Tuesday, April 29th, and this is the AgYield War Room. I'm Dan Dempsey, and I'll be moderating today's session. As always, if you get any questions or comments, please feel free to drop us a line in the chat area, and we'll be sure to get to it during the show. Overnight markets here at May corn unchanged at 475.5. May soybeans were down 4.5 at 1047.5, and May Chicago wheat was up 3 3/4 at 519.25. This morning, we had a couple of export sales announcements, 120,000 metric tons of corn to Spain. That was for 24. And also announced was 110,000 metric tons of soybeans to unknown destinations, also for 24. Yesterday afternoon, we got crop progress and conditions. Corn, 24% planted. That was up against 12% last week, and above the average, 22%. So we're making some good progress there on the corn side. Soybeans, pretty much same story, 18% planted. That was up from 8% last week, and the average is 12. Winter wheat ratings went up significantly there, up 4 points to 49% in the good to excellent category. The average for this time is 41%. And the spring wheat, 30% planted. That's up from 17% a week ago, and kind of well above the average of 21%. So with that, we'll kick it off this morning. You know, so we've seen a pretty good drawdown in open interest the last couple of sessions in corn, down almost 150,000 contracts, close to 60,000 in beans. Big drawdown in meal open interest overnight, down 38,000. So Justin, maybe a few thoughts to kick us off here this morning, and then we'll throw around the room.
Yeah, I don't think much differently than yesterday. We're kind of back to the 200-day moving average in corn, just below it in beans, November beans. Obviously, you had May option expiration last week, which we've seen open interest coming out between that and going into first notice day. Things expect it's pretty weak going into it. I mean, so if you were a bull, right, you would buy a first, break into first notice day, right? So if it's going to be good, it should bottom around first notice day and start a rally. So, that'd be just the one thing to kind of watch. But, spreads aren't too exciting. Deece, we're talking about it for corn, got, as wide as 18.25 carry last night. I think that makes sense for what we know today. Got big corn acres, plantings going at a decent pace. And just not a lot of news to get, things too excited right now. So I would hope we catch somewhere, between here 440. I mean, Deece corn, I think you start getting into that problem we've talked about for a long time, where you're just not a lot of incentive to get aggressively sold here outside of just fear of it going lower, especially with, some of these government programs and crop insurance, at least on today's date. And really not a lot of reason to go higher either. Weather's been good enough, and Safrina weather's been good. So I think you need something to kind of spark, any kind of move out of this range we've been in personally.
Very good. Ben, what's on your mind this morning?
I think that a lot of apathy towards grains right now. No one doesn't seem to really want to pile drive it. No one's too motivated to buy it. There are some interesting crosses going on in the moving averages. The 50s trying to cross the 100-day, which would be kind of a bearish signal. And at the same time, the 20 has crossed the 100 and the 50. So I think the market's trying to sort it out. Looking around this morning, I feel like there's a little bit of conflict in weather forecasts. Starting to get some buzz about dryness in China, which is always kind of hard to put your thumb on it. Those are typically a little slower developing, and then you look back and you go, why did we just do XYZ? And you can draw your line to that. So I just think the market is slopping around. There's not a tremendous amount of interest with everything that's going on in the outside markets, but hopefully we're starting to shed some of the impact of things that come out of the White House, kind of similar to what we saw when Russia invaded Ukraine. This became really big events for a while, and then they just became muted, and we go back to trading. So I was kind of surprised that the planning number was not higher yesterday, but it looks like there's going to be a pretty good opportunity here in the next couple of weeks to get things planted on one forecast. So that's it. Just a really quiet trade.
Sure. Dustin, anything to add before we move on here this morning?
Just Dec-Dec is widening to its widest point here, down to 18 under overnight. So it's I think that directly correlates with the rise in the bean corn ratio, the assumption that we're going to have more corn acres this year. It directly correlates with the rise in the Brazilian real, which, I think it's helped beans as well too. And it helps the back end of the market where we compete more heavily with Brazil, future demand prospects. So no, it's good. It's actually I think a fairly healthy sign of the market that flat price did get too low, like we talked about, and flat price is actually higher while the spreads are wider in the back end. So that's all I think are all good signs. Actually, it's a sign of a healing market.
Very good. Ryland, we'll talk livestock here for a minute. It was nice to see we got Mexico and the U.S. reach an agreement on the screwworm issue that we referenced yesterday. We're still making new highs in cattle though yesterday, and noticed this morning that out forward you're starting to see some moderate margin improvement for hogs. So maybe a few thoughts here as we start the day.
Yeah, sure. No, I mean, I think the focus right now, cattle right now, is going to be kind of on the discount I think June has relative to last week's cash. I mean, we were looking at the 5 area average at 216.32. April futures are going off the board, so that's really going to become the focal point right now. And then there needs to be convergence now, or if it's signaling lower prices ahead. I don't think anybody's really feeling that, especially after the performance in beef. But we will see. Packer margins are going to get strained here, so beef prices need to kind of stay firm, and we're seeing that with the tighter kills. So choice was up 629 yesterday, 342.77, select at 325.12 of 501. So these are just massive numbers. So I think right now the market's still very cautiously optimistic going into this. And if there isn't any more kind of back and forth with the feeder import situation, I mean, obviously that was a little bit of a spark higher yesterday, but the market seemed to shrug it off. So it just feels like, just kind of passed over, and now it's just going to be worrying about how much higher the cash market's going to go on the feeder side of things, or reaching record high prices that nobody really wants to pay. So we have not seen that yet, but I think that's just on the tip of everybody's tongue. Everybody's kind of talking about it, but we'll see. Like I said, just a little bit of cautious optimism going into the week. As far as hogs go, yeah, margin is definitely improving. I mean, it's been a good run, new highs for the move here. Saw a little bit of weakness yesterday in cash, down $1.25 at 90.14. Carcass was down a little bit, belly's down 223. So you got a little bit of a softer product news kind of coming into the day. But overall, I think just the seasonal momentum and seasonal demand optimism is still there. So with that improvement, no doubt we're likely to see some hedge pressure here start to mount a little bit, especially in the back end of the market.
Very good. Appreciate the update there. We've got one thing to note too. Most everybody, you should be rolled or out of May, but tomorrow is first notice day for May futures. So if you still got any of those positions on, please get in touch with your consultant and get that figured out there. So that'll be tomorrow. We appreciate everybody that tunes in on a daily basis. If you wouldn't mind, throw us a like and certainly subscribe. It doesn't cost you anything to do so. It'll keep you up to speed on everything that's going on with AgYield. So again, thanks to everybody that supports the show. We're doing this live every day that the markets are open on X, Facebook Live, and YouTube Live, 8:15 Central Time. Appreciate the thoughts and comments here this morning, guys. It was a good show. Hope everybody has a great day, and we look forward to talking to you again tomorrow.
The War Room is proudly presented by AgYield. For over 50 years, the AgYield team has provided grain marketing and risk management solutions for growers across the country. Our veteran consultants harness cutting-edge technologies to pinpoint risk, optimize market performance, and protect your farm's profitability. Discover a new approach to farm revenue management at agyield.com.
Hey guys, Jack here. Be sure to support the show by hitting the like button, leaving us a comment, and subscribing to the channel for all the latest updates. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.